Um, Another idea was an impromptu set at the Fillmore, but that was killed because the place was too small and the Golden Gate Park idea was gaining steam anyway. The problem with Golden Gate was security. It was Grogan who first thought of using Hell's Angels. And here's a caption for the picture as them beating somebody with pool sticks. Are we having fun yet? Hell's Angels prospects armed with pool cues at the Altamont Raceway free concert with the Rolling Stones. That's Michael Oakes Archives, Venice, California. He took the picture. And there's some dude with a Mickey Mouse shirt on. He looks kind of good. He's not Hell's Angel, of course. He's in the crowd watching. We'll have 100 Hell's Angels on their hogs escorting. Excuse me. We'll have 100 Hell's Angels on their hogs escort the Stones into Golden Gate Park. Grogan was quoted as saying, "Nobody'll come near the Angels, man. They wouldn't dare." A deal was apparently struck between the Stones people and the Frisco Angels for $500 worth of beer. Pete Nell, president of the Frisco Angels, gave his word that they would provide security. Pete was a Frisco Hell's Angel of high standing. Yeah, he's one of them that was in a fight with them between Oakland. We respected each other even when Oakland and Frisco were at war. By the late 60s, the two chapters had patched things up and everything was way cool. I was at the monthly Hells Angels OM officers meeting when Neil came in with the news. There was going to be a free Rolling Stones concert and the surrounding chapters were invited to attend. The deal was simple. Would we join Frisco and sit up on the stage, watch the crowd, and drink free beer? Soon enough, the Stones would find out that California Hells Angels were a little bit different from their English counterparts of the day. The Stones guitarist Mick Taylor said, "These guys in California are the real thing. They're very violent." The plan for the Stones playing Golden Gate fizzled. The park was nowhere near large enough to hold the crowds they expected, and the San Francisco Parks and Recreation Department backed down there in their permits. The next place chosen was the Sears Point Raceway north of San Francisco in Sonoma County. It could handle the masses. When local officials put a stop to that, stage construction was halted and the negotiations between Stones and the Sears Point Raceway owners, Filmways, I guess that's Filmways presentation thing at the end of the TV shows. This has been a Filmways presentation, like after the Beverly Hillbillies or something was over. Filmways controlled Concert Associates, who promoted the Stones' Los Angeles appearance. When the Stones refused to add an extra performance, the plan to use Sears Point Raceway unraveled. Filmways supposedly demanded a huge insurance liability policy and $100,000 just for rent, plus an interest in the distribution of a film that was going to be made of the concert. I saw that. None of this sat well with anyone. The local radio stations, television news, and local papers that had heavily publicized the event suddenly had nothing. A man named Dick Carter had been staging drag strip races at his Altamont Raceway, which was located in the Livermore Valley between two small towns, Tracy and Livermore, 30 miles from Oakland. Carter had been getting advice from a Stanford University business administration student to expand his drag strip business to include outdoor rock events, so Carter stepped forward. Through San Francisco attorney Melvin Belli, he contacted Sam Cutler and the Stones to offer his site after Sears Point had been killed. In a matter of a couple of days, the deal was done. Altamont was going to be the place to see the Stones for free. The Frisco members and a few other members from around the Bay Area left early on Saturday, December the 5th, making their way to Altamont in the yellow school bus owned by the Frisco chapter. Others rode their bikes earlier in the day. The bus ended up about 100 yards from the stage that the Stones road crew had constructed the night before. In addition to the Hells Angels, the Stones organization brought in 6 security guys from New York who were dressed in golf jackets and sported short haircuts. When Mick Jagger came out the night before to see the stage built by Chip Monk, who had done the staging for Woodstock earlier that summer, his rented limousine ran out of gas. As the crowds filled the cow pastures in Altamont, we were finishing up our OM in Oakland. I rode home to pick up Sharon before heading off to the Speedway late in the afternoon. As we rode past Hayward and Livermore, tens of thousands of people were still making their way to the free concert site. Parking was non-existent and the freeway was still under construction. A lot of people ditched their cars on the highway near the freeway exits. From there, they hitchhiked or walked the remaining miles. VW buses full of kids picked up stragglers stumbling on the side of the uncompleted freeway. To avoid the traffic, we took an even shorter route, our very own shortcut. I signaled for the rest of us to cut over on our bikes through the hills past the frontage road, coming up off the top of the hill overlooking the Altamont stage. I was relatively clean, meaning I hadn't taken any major drug. Sharon and I had a nice ride out there. When we arrived, the concert had already been going on for a few hours, and when we pulled into the valley, we saw 2 or 3 hillsides crammed with kids sitting on blankets and sleeping bags. I immediately thought about the problems of getting in and out of such a crowded place. As we rode down the hill toward the stage, the crowd parted for us. Somebody handed Sharon and me a jug of wine. We were lucky it wasn't laced with acid. Before we got there, there had been a fight on stage between Marty Balin of the Jefferson Airplane and a Hells Angel named Animal. I remember that. He bopped him in the head. A bunch of Hells Angels jumped on a black kid when Balin got in Animal's face and told him, "Fuck you." Animal's response was to knock him out during his set. The Airplane manager, Bill Thompson, pulled Animal aside and asked him why he had cold-cocked his band's singer, and he spoke disrespectful to an angel. Another band member, Paul Kantner, announced to the crowd that the Hells Angel had just punched out their lead singer. There was no reaction. When Sharon and I, with a few others on the bikes, got to the bottom of the gorge where the stage was, we parked our motorcycles 4 feet from the front edge of the stage. It formed a sort of buffer zone right away. I was surprised to see how low the stage was. It was barely 3 feet off the ground. God. As we parked, Graham Parsons and the Flying Burrito Brothers and then Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young played their sets. When some of the crowd took to yelling at us, Crosby stood up for us. We took on the task of trying to keep order amid organized confusion. The night before, looking at a fence broken down by anxious fans arriving early, Keith Richards uttered ominously, "Ah, the first act of violence." Later, the afternoon of the show, when a helicopter had delivered the Rolling Stones, someone approached Jagger yelling, "I'm going to kill you, I hate you," and slugged him. Jagger's jaw and ego were bruised, and he quickly ran and hid in the offstage trailer. Terry the Tramp, Sharon, some of the Hells Angels officers,